Blast gaming presents its biggest job whatever. Blast mystery progressive. I'm so excited, I can't hide it. The new blast jackpot rising, and I like it. It going up and up and up and up and up. Blast up and up and up and up and up and up.
Play selected games to win in the Blast Mystery Progressive. Pick until you match 3 gems and win one of the 5 cash jackpots. Or you can blast up with the Mystery Progressive jackpot.
It going up and up and up and up and up. Blast up and up and up. Blast gaming.
Hello, my name is Marilys Rock, founder of Homebase Limited. Better known these days as the Tile Lady in Dominica. We are tile importers from various countries such as Italy, Brazil, Mexico, and China. We've been in the market for the past 18 years, and we've grown to be the number 1 tile company in Dominica. I'd love to get it across that it's not just buying a tile because that's the amount of money you have left from the building. Tiles are the things used most in the house, and it's an investment you're putting your money into that should last you hopefully no less than 20 years. Our staff are well trained. The length of time they've been working in Homebase, some as much as 15 years. They have acquired knowledge which the ordinary person would not give an eye to, as to the texture of the tile, the warmth of the tile, the size of the tile, and the areas it's most suited for. Our main store is at 94 Independence Street, Roseau, and our warehouse is at Kinfley Industrial Site.
From the cradle to the grave, you don't have to be no slave. You need a loan you want to save. Welcome and visitors today. Hey, with a commitment to quality. What? Therefore you and me was one big family, but now it's a community. True. Making life easy. Yes. Like ABC. Don't matter who you are, you can benefit. When you bring your mortgage
with rates as low as 5% and loans for all your needs.
Open an MRA.
Save for your golden years and take advantage of our savings products.
We will finance your business.
Checking accounts, small business loans, wire transfers, and so much more.
NCCU all the way. Wow!
Your community financial partner.
NCCU.
Caribe Hard Cider. Moments made extraordinary.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Come on in. The bell has rung. Class has begun. We're getting ready to start. I'm feeling cold. If you don't mind. I'm feeling cold. So I have to be like, snug in a rug. On Monday. It is Monday, what is the date? 18th. The 18th of November. Oh my God. Time is flying quickly. The year's almost done. Welcome to another show. My name is Jael Joseph, and this is the Jael Joseph Live Show. You're locked into exclusive interviews. Pretty live. Don't let me tell y'all again. Like, y'all know the program. Those of you who are my regulars, you know how we roll. Good evening, good morning. It's morning somewhere, it's afternoon somewhere. Good evening. Welcome to another show. It's so good to be back on here with you guys. And I have an exciting show lined up for y'all. We had an exciting guest lined up, and we ready. Let me tell you, we're ready. I just want to say a special good day to everyone who's locked in on Facebook, those of you on YouTube, those of you, girl, you know, girl, I'll come to the comments just now. Comment section already started to blow up. You know, those of you on LinkedIn, good day, welcome to another show. Thank you very much for joining us. You could be anywhere else in the world, but you choose to be right here with us. for another episode of exclusive interviews. And this one features Chef Jono, aka Jonathan Shillingford from the nature island of Dominica, also known as Chef Jono from Below Deck Mediterranean. Yes, that's the one and only. Of course, he might show all y'all to twerk. I can't make any promises. I can't make any promises. But he is here and we're getting ready to start. We have a wonderful show. We're going to get to know a little bit about who he is and, a little bit about reality life. A lot of all you want to be on Love and Hip Hop. Y'all know that, right? Y'all know you want to be Love and Hip Hop stars. And Jono has set the trend and it's opened up the doorway for so many of us Dominicans who probably at some point in our life want to end up on a reality show. There's hope. All right. He makes us hopeful. I want to say special good evening to my folks coming on the chat. Shara, I see you. I see you, my darling Judy. Yes. Thank you very much. Patricia, I see you. Thank you very much. Good evening to y'all. Love, 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 love alone. Love, 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 love. Share the live as soon as you guys come in. Share the live. I don't know if you guys have shared. I was busy like loading up ads and got carried away. So I'm gonna do my broadcast live. Make sure I broadcast to all my peeps and them so they come on down. But while I'm doing that, I just want to say special thank you to my sponsors. Without them, this show would not be possible. So I want to say special thank you to my most esteemed sponsors, the National Cooperative Credit Union of Dominica, of course, our community financial partner. Y'all know that's my institutional place. That's where everything does go down. And Christmas is right around the corner, and I know you might be thinking about what to do with the house, how to spruce it up. Probably put the little paints outside. Probably you want to switch up the curtains a little bit, get some new fabric, whatever you want to do. You can go check out the NCCU. They can hook you up with some money. Don't tell them it's Jael and say, and that it's a must that you have to get money. Just make sure you check them out and see if you qualify for any one of their loans. They have short-term to long-term loans, and you can check them out. They have many different branches, including Vacas, there's La Salette, there's Maho, there's NCU. So check them out, all right? Also want to say thank you very much to Blast Dominica. Those of you who like, to go in a little casino, a little gambling, a little thing, check out Blast. New game has just launched at Blast, and we want to encourage you guys to check them out. Those of you who like to partake in extracurricular activities such as gambling, right? I also want to say big up to the Home Base Limited. It's so convenient because we got a chef architect on, and Home Base Limited is one of those places where he has all these fancy Italian tiles and Brazilian tiles and all of these things. So for anywhere in the home, anywhere in your home and in your business, you can get a tile for it. Whether it's for the wall, whether it's for the staircase, anywhere, she can definitely hook you up. So check them out. Home Base Limited, located in Roseau on Independence Street, 22. I believe it's Independence Street. In Roseau or 90, one of them, 22 Independence Street in Roseau, or at Caneville Industrial Site. And obviously, my drink of choice, Caribbean, my other sponsor. I want to say thank you very much to Caribbean. Without them, not all my sponsors, this show would not be possible. And I really, truly appreciate you because y'all help a girl pay her bills. I have 2 children to feed. I have two mouths to feed, including mine, right? So thank you very much for your kind patronage. I truly appreciate you guys. Have you guys shared the live? Share the live. I got carried away, I didn't share the live, but I'll do it when Jono comes on. All right. So we got an exciting guest here lined up for you, and I don't want to waste any time because it is late, very late where Jono is right now, and I don't want to keep him too long. We're gonna keep it sweet. We're gonna keep it juicy because if you've been following Dad, Jono knows how to keep it juicy. Right? He knows how to keep it jiggy. He knows how to keep it juicy. And we are going to keep you. We're going to have you guys laughing. I've actually known this man for pretty much all his life but he didn't know me. He didn't know me, but I knew who he was. I knew his family. I knew his siblings. I know his mom. His uncle is married to my aunt. And, and we randomly ran into each other on a flight coming back to Dominica. and we were sitting next to each other, and he was smelling good. I was like, "Ooh, that guy is smelling good," you know. And we started talking, and let me tell you, it was just all love, great energy, great vibe, superb individual. And I want to introduce you guys to Chef Jono. So make some noise. Welcome.
Hi.
I said you were gonna go
Hello.
first. Welcome to the
Oh my
show.
God. Thank you so much for that introduction. You are too kind. I love your energy. I swear, I think I was a little sleepy 5 minutes ago, but now I'm like energized just with that beautiful introduction. Thank you,
Well,
babes.
of course, my darling. It's nice to have you on the
It's a
show.
pleasure.
Oh my God. Where in the world are you now?
I am in Italy, in a city near Pisa and Florence, with the boat that I'm working on currently, actually. So I'm at work. It's after midnight now. When you said the show is on the 18th, I looked at my calendar. I was like, wait, no, it's the 19th. But I realized it's after midnight. So I'm like, oh, still confused about the day and time, but just happy to be here with you.
And happy to have you on. I'm so excited. You've had such an amazing career. Hashtag goals for many people, and
Yeah.
we want to be able to talk about that. We want to be able to share. You know, and a lot of times because we come from a small island, we think, oh, we can't get those big things can happen to us. You know,
Mm,
what's the chances of those big things happening to us? But we kind of want to, take a little page from your book and see some of the
mm,
things that your journey, some of the things you've encountered, and
yeah.
pretty much how you've lived your life and how you're able to be so fabulous, and make people laugh. I remember when the first episode dropped for Below Deck. My
Hmm.
cousin's wife called me and she says she's Jamaican, right? And she's like, "There's a Dominican." It's like it was such a big deal, like
Yeah.
there's a Dominican on because she likes this. She watches the show and she's like, "There's a Dominican." So I'm like a Dominican, and but it didn't clue because you'd already told me, and so it didn't.
Yeah.
Clue. Obviously, the time you told me that the show was gonna be airing versus the time it actually came on was like a
Mm.
difference of like almost 8 months, right?
Almost a year.
Was
Yeah.
yeah, it was almost a year. And
Yeah.
when I went on when it clued in that it was Below Deck, I was like, oh, it must be Jano. It must be Jano. And I loved and we got to
Your
see
boy.
you do your thing, do your thing. Listen, let's go back before we even get into Below Deck and
Yes.
how you got on. We want to know a little bit about you, where you grew up, and a little bit
Yeah.
about life as a young Jono before. Let's go before 18. So tell us a little bit
Young
about.
Jono before 18. I would say life was sweet. I feel like growing up in the Caribbean, life is sweet anyways, but I think you only realize that in retrospect after you leave and you come back and you're like, wait a while. I could go to the beach every day if I wanted. Every weekend was a river line. Your cousins were your best friends. Your
Mhm.
family kind of, base was such a support system. And I really appreciate that only after having lived away and meeting people that didn't have that. I'm like, how can you not have your aunt who's like a chef of the family or your uncle who's bringing you out every weekend to go fishing or, these sorts of things. But I
Mhm.
was born in Dominica, and I hope everyone knows that. I'm very proud and very happy to be Dominican. Um, I left Dominica when I was 8. We moved to Antigua for my
Mhm.
dad's job, and so I finished common entrance in Antigua, did high school there. But we were back in Dominica twice a year, right? So my most of my family was still in Dominica. Um, and so, coming back home, Antigua became a home, but really Dominica was my real home. Every time it was Christmas or summer, we were back visiting my grandparents or aunts and uncles or, whatever it may be. So grew up in Antigua, also a special place for me. I think a lot of my friends that I'm close with now, I met, through high school in Antigua. Um, and went to high school there, was very academic, always loved food, loved cooking. I think I enjoyed cooking because I like to eat So that's the really origin of, wanting to be a chef was
Mhm.
me just liking food,
Mhm.
which most Dominicans do, right? Like food is
That is, I
so
think most
important to
Dominicans
us.
like food. That's a very important part of
Mhm.
our life.
It's like,
Mhm.
anyway, so what we're going to eat, not where we're going, but what we're going to eat.
Oh, they're
Um,
gonna have food? Gonna have
exactly. hmm when I was 17, I always wanted to be an architect. Didn't consider becoming a chef as a job. Wanted to be an architect.
Why is that?
Um,
Why you didn't consider being a chef as a job?
I don't know. I don't know actually. I think I was always creative. As a kid, I liked painting. I liked Legos. I actually have a tattoo of a Lego. Um, so that was kind of the influence from young. It seemed automatic. I didn't think much about. I never had a struggle about what I wanted to be, and I feel so grateful for that because I know a lot of people they get to university and they still don't have a clear path. But always wanted to be an architect, and used to build little model houses. One of my uncles is an architect. I used to visit his studio,
Mark,
and
that's Mark,
I kind
right?
of was, yeah, Uncle Mark. I was very mesmerized by the models, I think, of the buildings. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. It felt like a fairy tale. It was like you were in a different world at this miniature level. So fast forward, graduated
Before,
high school
don't
in
fast forward
Antigua.
yet. Let me stick
Okay,
up a minute because
yeah,
folks will be wondering, okay, who are you? Who's your family in Dominica? Where are you?
yeah.
Your I want to be able to connect
I
them.
love that.
When I say
Yes.
I've known you all your life, somebody might be like, Jill, how old are you? But I will let them know. The very first relaxer I ever got was done by
Mhm.
Jilly, who's your mom.
Yes.
Auntie
Yes.
Jilly, who is your mom, was the
hmm
one my mom went to do her hair. We would travel all the way
Yeah.
from Vegas to
hmm
to Jilly. It was Nexus at the time to
Yeah.
get our hair done.
Yeah.
And I remember the very first time I will always remember that experience, not just because it was my first perm, but
hmm
it was because it was the very first time I met a president. So I was sitting there and I met
Wow.
the president at the time of
Wow.
Dominica. So
That's
just sitting there
amazing.
waiting. So it's just something that just in your as a little child, you just like, oh my God, I meet a president, I meet the president. And it was not in a formal setting. It was very casual
Casual but
and
impactful.
very much so. And I remembered and he spoke to me. He asked me so many different questions about school. I was actually just getting ready to start high school.
Okay,
So he wanted
nice.
to know, what I wanted to be, and I was just there fumbling because I wasn't sure what I wanted to be. So that memory, that is attached to your mom, because that is
Amazing. That's so
where
sweet.
that is where I very at the very first time I met somebody that I kind of was like almost flabbergasted by.
Yeah.
So just give us a little bit of background about your family, like your
Yeah.
mom, your dad, because you said your dad moved caused you guys to move away. So it's just so
Yeah.
folks who are from Dominica can know your roots.
Absolutely. Sure. So I was born in Goodwill.
Mhm,
I was born, we were living on Downing Gap, which is just off Federation Drive. I think there's a preschool there or something now in that house.
mhm,
My mom is Jilly. My dad is Gregory Shillingford. Jilly, when I was born, she was a hairdresser, a cosmetologist. Um, she had her own beauty salon. At some point before that, she was working with someone else. I don't even remember all the names of the salons, but when she had her own salon, it was called Elegance and it was on Cork Streets. And I remember going there, and it was, I think, a lot of people share that kind of feeling of it being a place where it was somehow special, or special things were happening, and not only about hair, but maybe as a community, people would come in and meet. And I think I share that same sentiment with you that, there was kind of special things happening.
mhm,
And my mom is a special woman. If you know her, she's amazing. Her energy is incredible. My dad, when I was born, was the manager of DBMC, which was the banana export company in Dominica. Um, and in a big way, the essence of him had to do with kind of agriculture and farmers' rights and, putting Dominica on a kind of international map in that, they were exporting things to England and to the rest of the world.
mhm,
Um, when we moved, he was always involved also in cricket, and that kind of became, I guess, maybe his career legacy. to date, maybe, where he was working for the West Indies Cricket Board as a CEO for a short time and later as a director. And he's still now involved very much in cricket throughout the region, which is super cool. So that's kind of my parents. I have two older brothers, Johan and Carlos, who are all my siblings are half siblings because I'm the only one my parents had together. They had kids before they got together and had me. But
Yes,
I've been closest with Johan and Carlos, who you know.
yes. so so
Yes.
so so how was it? Okay, we talk about food. I want to talk
Yes.
about your home and food, and because that essentially is what your emphasis on. We're going to go back to your architectural days and getting
Yeah,
into
of course.
university, but what was life like growing up in your home where food is concerned? Because I know your brother is also, well, also chef, like a really
Yeah.
big time chef too. So talk
Yeah.
to us about, because that must have influenced, something must have influenced y'all to kind of go down that path.
100%. I mean, food at home was important, right? Like, I think there's some homes in Dominica or maybe in the Caribbean or the world where people still go home at lunchtime, right? And it's a home cooked meal. And that's, I'm like, when I go back home in Dominica and I see my cousins leaving work in Roseau to go home and eat lunch, I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I wish I had that when I was, a young professional just starting. But I was in a big city somewhere. So I mean, food was always the base, right, of love. It was a gift of love. It's like, what do you want to eat later? And
Mm-hmm.
that was my dad saying, "I love you. Let me do something for you," right? And I guess that influenced us. And dad was actually more of the chef more than mom. Mom loved cooking, but I feel like she did it as a motherly duty, and she loved her kids and wanted to feed us. But dad, I think, was more passionate about food than mom. And he would experiment. There would be a Christmas, and he would make a stuff yam, but he made it look like something like it was a volcano, or I don't know, something silly and crazy. But the essence was innovation with food, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I think maybe I became inspired to play with food from a young age and to think of it as a gift of love. And I think to be a chef, you really have to love people because you're literally giving them sustenance. Even when it's your job, I think you have to have love in your heart to feed people. And I really stand by that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You mentioned obviously architecture being your kind of your initial calling.
Yeah.
Um, and you were able to attend like two very prestigious institutions.
Yeah.
Um, you spoke about a little bit about what drew you to it. Obviously, your love for Legos and your uncle and all and whatnot.
Yeah.
But talk to us a little bit about your experiences getting into school for architecture and what was that like?
First school I went to, I was 17 when I left high school in Antigua, and I went to a school in Chicago called Illinois Institute of Technology. And at the time, it was one of the top 10 universities for architecture in the US. Um, my eldest brother, Johan, was already living in a suburb of Chicago, so we had visited the city. So it felt kind of familiar and somehow safe, right? As a person traveling halfway across the world at a young age, to be somewhere new, to fortunately have some family nearby who could kind of look over you or have your back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so all these things fell into place. I got accepted. It was really tough. In the Caribbean, we have a British education system. It was like sixth form college, blah, blah, blah. In the US, I had to do SATs, all this drama, and that was kind of challenging. But getting in I was shocked. I was really impressed. I was like, whoa, here's a dream, right? Because it really was. I think I applied to maybe 3 universities, and this one was my top choice. So I was really so grateful and blessed, feeling that I had been accepted. I got a small scholarship from the university because of my academics were, I guess, very good. And I just remember going there with my parents, dropping me off at the dorm, and they're crying, and I'm just thinking, okay, I'm gonna do my thing.
You're
And
like
getting on
freedom.
the getting on a train for the first time, I'm on a train. See me lose on the train. I don't know where I'm going, and I didn't care. I was like, you know what? if I get lost, I'll just turn around and go back in the other direction, and I'll at least find where I got on from. And I think that was kind of where maybe I kind of let go of control or wanting to feel so safe, and I was just kind of open to get lost and find ways. And it somehow felt very poetic in my head that day when I got lost on the train. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Why the hell not? I'll figure it out.
Right?
Yeah, and I did.
Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. So you went to school in Chicago for a little bit, and
Mhm.
then what happened next?
I was there for 5 years. I graduated with a bachelor's in architecture, which qualified me to be an architect. In that 5 years, I traveled a lot. I feel like, people say they find themselves at uni. I feel like I did a little bit, probably find myself or versions of myself. I'm still finding myself.
Mhm.
Um,
Aren't we all?
uh, exactly. And so food remained of huge interest to me, even when I was still very focused on becoming an architect. I think during that time, Carlos, my brother, who's a chef, his career was also growing he was growing in his field, right? And we were all very proud of him. And, he was, cooking for, very high-end clients, billionaire clients. And you tell stories like, oh, I was on their private jet, and oh, you can't believe what I'm making today. And that kind of exposure, I think that he had really fascinated me, and it made me really proud, I think, as well, and inspired, not necessarily to be a chef, but to have more of an interest in food,
Mhm.
and to also be supportive towards him, right? Like, he's my brother. Um, I I worked with him a little bit. I remember during like summer break, and so that was also a big influence. Um, and after I graduated, I moved to Paris. I was there for a year working on an architecture firm. Obviously, Paris is also a huge culinary capital in the world. And even though I was, working as an architect, I was eating all the food I could eat, things I didn't even know what it was, I was eating it. Just, getting exposure and, learning about things firsthand. I feel like that was my favorite way to kind of learn, just to dive in and immerse myself, not only in the language, I was learning French, but also in the food, right?
Mhm.
After that, I went to graduate school in London, the Architectural Association. So I pursued a master's in architecture and urban design there, which I succeeded in. Again, London, another huge culinary capital. I mean, not only for English food, which is not really interesting, but for every other kind of cuisine. It's a melting pot.
Mhm.
And so there I was eating things like food from Cambodia, or eating at a Senegalese restaurant, places where I hadn't traveled of or knew much about their cuisine, but tasting and finding similarities with Caribbean food and similar flavor profiles. And I'm like, this is Creole. Or I'm
Mhm.
like, bacalao, no, that's saltfish. What you're talking about? I eat that every Sunday, And so I think the cultural part of, food kind of sparked even more of an interest.
Mhm.
Um, and so that I think that kind of kept the culinary interest going, in conjunction with me practicing architecture and extending my career that way. Mm.
Wow, this is amazing. What I absolutely
Yeah.
love about your journey, and that is something that I kind of want to touch on a little bit, is the fact that whenever we leave home,
Mm,
a lot of us, we go because we're going for 4 years university, and we go, and then when we get there, we're so Caribbean, we're such
mm,
islanders, we're scared to venture out of that.
yeah.
When I say out of that, we only associate with people who are from the Caribbean. We
Yeah.
only do, there are a lot of people, and I want your story to inspire folks to break out of that. I'm not saying you can't still have
Hmm.
your Caribbean networks and your your
Yeah.
your your groups, but there is a big world out there to know and
Hmm.
explore, with so many different interesting people, characters, and food, and all of those things.
Yeah.
Because even like you talk about food, and You talk about, first of all, you talk about the many places that you've been to, but then you also talk about food and experiencing their food. And sometimes,
Yeah.
we want, oh, all we want to cook is all we could soup and all we could this. And not saying that we can't cook it, because sometimes you just want what you grew up on. You just want
Yeah. Comfort.
that is where you're home, right? But try something new. Like the other day, I went to an Ethiopian, it's actually Ethiopian restaurant, which is a
Nice.
vegan restaurant. And I was kind of I was a
Amazing.
little worried. I was like, I don't know if I want to, but in your Caribbean head, you're like,
Yes.
and I go there and I'm like eating with your hands, and I'm just like, oh my god,
Mm,
I love this and I love this and I love this, and you end up with your belly more full than if you had gone.
exactly.
you know because it's just so interesting. And I mean, it's I love that you say that, because it's my way of saying to people who might be looking on, who are
Mm,
students, who are in different countries, who are from home
yeah.
being in the Caribbean and not necessarily Dominica, because I find that a lot. The first thing they tell you when you come to university is they'll tell you
Hmm.
where your student network is. So they'll tell you,
Yeah.
"Oh, the Caribbean network is over there," because they expect you. This is where
To
you will
flock.
find right, and you
Yeah.
can find your refuge there. These are your
Mm,
people. That's your tribe, right?
mm,
Don't desert your tribe, but learn a new tribe. Because
absolutely.
so this is really inspiring that you what you've spoken about, and we're going to talk a little bit about postgraduate school and what happened next. But I want to go to because I've been checking out, monitoring the live, and
Yeah.
now people on the live, if you see you don't big them up, they're gonna cuss me in the DMs. They'll slide into my DM and say, "So Jael, I ball in, hold on." So let me just shout out the
And you
folks.
don't tell me nothing.
I hear them in all thing. So I want to pick up Monella too. She's on. She says, make sure you give her a little talk in between. You have to give her a little talk. You have to give her. Oceans of Thoughts is listening in New York.
Oh,
Michael
nice.
Fox, stars for my friend. Kareel Schillenford listening from St. Croix.
Nice.
We have Yola, who's saying love his positive spirit. Rosalind Severin is listening from New York as well. We have a lot of New Yorkers in the house.
Yeah.
Greetings again, Vivian Greenaway from St. Croix. So folks are coming on. And guys, comment as much as you'd like to comment. I will catch it when I catch it.
Yeah.
Let me check to see the chat on YouTube to see. Okay, nobody's commenting on YouTube as yet, and nobody's commenting on LinkedIn as yet. So once
Okay.
they do, we'll bring them on. And I just want to welcome every single folk that's coming on wherever you're locked in. And when you come on, it's always nice to hear where you're locked in from, because it's good. Oh, Francine is balling Jono with how many O's?
Hi.
He's saying hey. So folks are coming on and they're saying hi, and they're sharing love for you, and
Nice.
waving. Somebody is saying listening from Brief de la Gilad, Gilad.
What you saying, girl?
Brief la. The person said they're listening. Brief la Gilad. Most I cannot. I don't know.
I don't know.
Gailarde. I guess that's somewhere. It sounds somewhere French.
I don't
Um,
know. Yeah, I guess so,
so
French.
so people are coming on. If somebody from Bim is on, Christelle is on.
Nice.
Folks are on. The folks are on. Hi JL. Hi Heflin. Thanks for joining us. So we're here with Chef Jono, and we're talking about his life. We're getting to know a little bit about him, and he's had a one. He's still very young and has had a wonderful career. And
Yeah.
where we left off, we were just talking a little bit about graduate school, and going to graduate school in London, and then Simone is on YouTube. You see, I don't mention them people.
Hmm.
I'm on the road in Texas, and your guest has some awesome experience. Simone James,
Oh,
Texas
nice.
is in the house. Um, yes, so everybody that comes on, I go try and big you up as much as I can. But we were talking last about you being in graduate school in London.
Hmm.
So post London, what happens? What happens next?
Post London was Brexit, and that kind of threw a wrench in my plans to stay and work in London, because nobody was trying to hire no little boy from Dominica and give them a work visa. So I kind of did my thing and moved back to Antigua and opened my own from there. So, as we say, we roll with the punches and we make it work. There's no way I was going
Mhm,
to quit or give up.
mhm,
So I moved back to Antigua, opened my own architectural practice because I was hard-headed, stubborn, malcase. I didn't want to work with nobody. So I opened my own office without much, experience. But I was determined. I think that's the root of it, right? You stick to it and you stay determined and you figure it out. Opened my own office there. Antigua is a huge yachting hub. There are lots of marinas. It's a destination for a lot of super yachts. And I was working on a project there that had just fallen through. It was supposed to be a hotel that some investors had tentatively had me to do a design for, and it didn't work out. And this happens all the time in architecture, actually. You do a lot of initial work, something happens either with funding or with the land, and it maybe pauses or it doesn't go through. For me, that was one of the, I guess, the kind of first time that I was experiencing that disappointment after I had invested so much into the project already.
Mhm.
Um, Around the same time, Maria hit Dominica, and that kind of I was in Antigua when that happened, but the shockwaves was obviously throughout the Caribbean.
Mhm.
Um, my living arrangement in Antigua with family there had to change because family in Dominica were displaced, elderly family were displaced and had to move to Antigua for their health. And it was a kind of tough time. Like I felt like I almost felt kind of homeless in my home because I didn't know where to go. I think I wasn't making enough money yet to rent an apartment, or to feel secure, to have a lease.
Mhm.
And yeah, it was tough. I mean, there were lots of Dominicans who had a terrible time, right, during Maria.
Mhm.
They were displaced. They were a lot of them came to
Into
Antigua
Antigua.
because
Mhm.
we have a lot of family in Antigua, a lot of Dominicans in Antigua.
Mhm.
And so even though I wasn't in Dominica for Maria, that kind of the repercussions affected me, and I felt very displaced in Antigua at the time, and was kind of bouncing from friend's house to friend's house, and that felt really. I felt really like, wow, okay, what am I doing? I was kind of reevaluating my
So you
path.
were couch surfing.
I was pretty much couch surfing, right? Ghetto, but there I was.
No, yo, we've all been
No
there. We've
shame, no
all been there
shame.
and done that, and it's okay because it makes you
It's okay.
stronger. It
Girl, it
makes you
did.
stronger.
You better
Mhm.
believe it did.
Mhm. It does.
And so here comes along an opportunity. One of my best friends, in Antigua, Jessica, her parents actually own Papa Zouk restaurant. So another kind of culinary family that I kind of found my second family in Antigua.
Mhm.
Um, their daughter, Jessica, who we went to high school together in Antigua, she's also a yacht chef, and she was working with a boat, and the owner had two boats. She was working on one, the other one needed a chef desperately for a week, right? They were in Antigua. They needed someone like tomorrow to come on board. And I had hosted lots of dinner parties, right? So part of my whole, love for food, it extended with, entertaining. And I would love to have friends over, throw dinner parties. And she knew I could cook very well. But even at that point, I'd never really considered doing it as a career or as a job. I thought I would not love it anymore, right?
Mhm.
If I were doing it
Yeah, because
as a
sometimes you don't want
job,
to make your passion your job, you know?
right?
Yes.
There's somehow an added pressure. And she's like, look, listen, Jono, please, they really need help. You'll do great. Just do it. And I was like, you know what?
Fake it
Okay, why
till you
not?
make it.
Why the hell not? So I called up Carlos, obviously asking for advice. I'm like, what should I make? He, kind of helped me through because he's never really worked on a yacht, but he is very familiar with high-end VIP billionaire clients. That's his work. He's a professional.
Mhm.
So, he helped me kind of formulate menus and just figure out some ideas. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'll do it. And I mean, the rest is history. What was supposed to be a week on that boat ended up being 2 years. They were leaving Antigua at
Oh
the end
my
of the
God.
season, and they were like, listen, Jono, we're sailing to Spain. Come with us. They were like, we need you to, do the crossing. It's a 2 weeks to cross the Atlantic on a boat, right? You feel like you're in a spaceship because you have no idea where you are, just in the middle of sea. And I was like, oh my God, how am I gonna do this? My mom was like, Jesus, praying. I think she even said novena. She was like, save my child. she swear the boat was going to sink. Oh my God.
God.
And I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna do this. First of all, the captain asked, do you get seasick, Jono? And there I was thinking, how much times I go whale watching, I never get seasick in Dominica. No, I don't get seasick. Um,
The channel hits you, and the channel hits you.
Channel, 10 minutes before we even leave the marina, it must have been like 11:30, and lunch is usually out at 12. There we are leaving, and I'm like, okay, what's going on? I had to run to my bathroom to throw up, splash my face with water, and like figure it out. Go, 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 get lunch out. Fortunately, I had prepped, I think I made like a lasagna or something easy for dinner because everyone was feeling kind of queasy. So I think I was too sick at that point to make dinner. So I kind of just heated up the lasagna. I don't know. I figured it out, and everyone was happy. And that was the start of my yachting career. And I think it started off as kind of being part time while architecture was still full time.
Mhm,
And that's kind of transitioned the past 8 years that I've been doing this, where architecture has been a little bit more part time, actually, the back burner. Because
mhm.
when I'm on a yacht with 12 guests that are on board for 5 weeks and I work 14-hour days for 5 weeks without a day off, I do not have the energy to sit on my laptop and work on drawings. So yeah, it's fluctuated, but yeah, that
Wow.
was kind of the start.
So you hop on that yacht. People are like balling. People say a whole novena. A whole
Oh,
novena.
well, no, you mad, Julie? She was praying, lighting candles, everything.
I know, because 2 weeks, I mean, people don't even understand. Like, just think about when the during the Rinrush days, when they had to leave
Yeah,
on the boats, and they left
exactly.
to
That's
go.
what it was.
It took them that long to get there. It's not like on a plane you take a
A
couple hours.
plane.
No, it takes
Yeah.
that long. And when you open your window, there's nothing but sea.
See,
So
I
all you,
remember
all you
once
see
we
is sea.
crossed, all you see is sea. You see, and sometimes it's rough and it's like, whoa, and all
Mhm.
you hear is the boat creaking, and you don't know what day it is anymore. You forget what time of day it is because you're crossing over 2 weeks, you're changing like every two
Different
days we,
time
we
zone.
change an hour for time zone reasons,
Yeah.
right? So you're like, wait, is it 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock? I don't even know. That's why I say it feels like you're in space because like you have no concept of like place or time, which is kind of crazy, but it's cool.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
I
awesome.
like it.
Lovely,
Yeah,
lovely hearing about that, and
yeah,
you you know getting your foot wet. Well, I guess
yeah,
the door opening up into
yeah.
culinary, and you now call yourself a culinary, no, an
Architect, a
architect. Yeah,
culinary architect. Yeah,
culinary architect. I remember in your introduction when was it Sandy? That's it.
Sandy. Yeah,
Sandy asked. I just hope I remember. I'm not very good at names, so if
that's fine. Me too. I'm terrible.
I'm remembering her name, it means that I was really into the show.
Yeah,
So when she asked, what are you? You're like, I'm a culinary architect. I'm like,
architect girl. I'm branded.
listen, but in those episodes, we're gonna talk a little bit about those episodes. First of all,
Hmm.
how did you, or why did you decide that, coming from being an architect to a chef, or yeah, you're on a yacht, to deciding that probably I want to tap a little reality, because it is reality TV. Granted, you're
It
doing the
is.
same thing, but it is reality TV, and there's
It
another
is.
layer that comes with it,
Yeah.
right? And I mean, just me working in production on the back end of things, I've seen
Hmm.
so much crazy stuff. Much is to be on screen.
It's
Why did
yeah.
you decide that that was going to be the next move? And tell us a little bit about the process in getting.
Yeah. So it was a long time coming, actually. I think I was in chats with Bravo for maybe 3 years, 3 years before I actually got to be a cast member on the show.
Wow.
Um, and I had known about the show obviously because I worked in yachting, and it's pretty much a reality show about the field that I'm in the field that I'm in, and it's a very niche field. Not many people know about yachting or even know that it exists, right?
Mhm.
So I knew about the show. I think they first reached out to me on social media with an interest, and there's like platforms like LinkedIn, but for yacht crew, focused on specifically just yacht crew and advertising different jobs there.
Mhm.
And I think once you sign up for one of those platforms, obviously you have your CV, just like LinkedIn, it's a public platform where anyone can go and see your profile, your qualifications. And I feel like they probably reached out to me on social media after seeing my CV, and asked if I was interested. And I think for over a year, I was just, like, I don't know, do I want to do this? It's a big, it's a big jump. It's a big investment as well. Like you can go on TV and look like a fool, and that kind of ends your career. And I think that was probably my biggest fear.
Mhm.
Um, s- I finally said yes, and I did 3 seasons for them where I was their backup chef. Actually, where I was on location where they were filming for 6 weeks, just in a hotel, especially during COVID, where it was difficult to fly people. So in case someone got sick or the chef got fired or got sick or quit, I was someone that was available nearby to be able to step in. And so having done that, I felt a bit more comfortable with the whole Bravo family and the producers, and I saw them as humans and not just, sharks. They were lovely. Honestly, I love everyone on Bravo and NBC. They were super supportive, so kind. They treat everyone like so well. And so I think finally I was flying home. I had just landed in Dominica from on vacation from the boat I was working on, and the producers called me and they're like, "Listen, I think can you jump on a call? I think this is going to be the season where you're going to become a cast member and not a backup crew member." And I was like, "Ooh, say more." And in the time between that, I had done several interviews, several psych evaluations. They put you through all kind of screening. I had done tasting menu dinners in New York for different producers as well from Bravo. All very last minute. I think I was on a boat in Sag Harbor, and they asked me to get in a cab to Brooklyn. They rented an Airbnb for me to cook for someone, just as like a test dinner. And I was like, okay, sure, let's do it. Somehow, pull it out of the bag. And so all of this happened, right? And it's really a series of several dominoes and cards that I pray and give thanks that I guess were played right, because finally I became a cast member for season 9 of Mediterranean.
I'm glad you're saying this because a lot of times people see the glitz and all of the glamour
Yeah,
and they don't know the guai,
the Guaye.
right? They don't know the guai.
Mhm.
That they don't see the
Yeah,
guai and they wonder probably, oh, how did he end up on Bravo? Like, like how did that happen? Like
yeah,
did they pick him out of a lineup? Did they pull his name out of a hat? Like
yeah,
like you were waiting for years for your
yeah.
time. You had to prove
I really
you
was.
proved yourself
Yep.
multiple times, sometimes
Hmm.
on very short notice, right?
Yes.
And then even when they decide that, oh, we're giving you a shot, they put you through all these testing,
Hmm.
including checking to make sure you're not cray cray, and
Exactly. Yeah.
just so you could land this gig, which is kind of probably anybody who cooks or who
Yeah.
loves
Yeah.
cooking, that would
Hmm.
probably be like a dream job for them because
Yeah.
you get to treat cook for rich people because
Yeah.
everybody that comes on the yacht they're either on the up and coming rich or they're very very rich, like it's one
Exactly.
or the other. So you did this, you get on the show, and first the first thing I noticed were you were the only person of color. So,
Yes.
so for
Exactly.
me, so
Same
this is
girl.
me, right? This is me. I was just like, boy, I hope they didn't just do that to check off the person of color because that happens.
Mm.
right? When
It does,
they
yeah.
hire, especially when there's pressure, they're like, oh, let's bring in the diversity hire,
Hmm.
let's do that. But your role was so like they would never it so I constantly had to like correct myself, even without
Yeah.
talking to you about it and saying, no, you know what? We don't always have to be the diversity hire.
No, yeah, you're
As
right.
people of color, we don't always have to be that. We can also be hired because we're damn good at what we do. Because them picking
Exactly.
you as the main chef, the
Hmm.
chef to cook
The
feed
chef.
all of these people, this could have easily been a big f up. Like
Hmm.
if you made a mistake, and they would be like, oh, the black guy, the black
Exactly.
person. What I absolutely loved about you being on is that you brought in the Caribbean in the midst. You twerked for us.
Yes.
You had attitude. They had a whole segment on on Bravo dedicated to you when you refused to wake up.
Oh my God, yes.
I was
I
like
tell them, hour, we
BITCH
hour,
Jono.
not tonight. Ah, wow.
Oh my god! Oh my god! You were so. I thought, honest to God, I thought you were gonna get up. I'm watching this. I thought you were going to do it, and you were like, "No, I am not. Make something for them." And I was like,
Babe,
"Butcher, where they
that
get
was
pizza?"
crazy. Right at the beginning, right? Like they
Right at the
didn't waste
beginning.
time. They didn't waste time. Whew, that was crazy. And the crazy thing is that I usually do wake up, at late night, but the day we had before, or that day where none of the provisions are right, we were all
I remember
operating
that.
on a very compromised circumstance where nothing was as planned.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if I woke up with the amount of sleep that I had had, I don't know how I would have gotten up 2 or 3 hours later to then make breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's like safety things as well in yachting. You have to have a certain amount of rest and sleep, just like people, flight crew, like a flight attendant or a pilot. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
why you don't fly all day long. Like you're not allowed to. It's a safety
Mm-hmm.
thing. On a yacht, if there's an emergency, everyone has, certain duties. They have to do firefighting, life-saving duties, all these things, because you are in an environment like an airplane where there's lots of risk, high risk for emergencies, right? And so I was thinking all of that, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna say no, and I'm probably gonna get fired tomorrow. I really thought they were gonna just tell me to leave. And I thought I'm not gonna be, that if I do this now, I'll set an example that I can be walked all over, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what would have been happening. That I'm
Mm-hmm.
just, snapping a finger, and here I am like a monkey performing. And I
Mm-hmm.
didn't want that kind of image for myself. That was
Mm-hmm.
very important to me. So yeah, I said no, and I felt bad about it because my crew member took it personally, right? She was mad at
Yes.
me as if I
Yes.
was trying to sabotage her, and I was like, "Girl, nothing about this is about you, okay? This is about me protecting myself and my energy, and
Mm-hmm.
that's important." And some people
Yes.
don't know how to make those boundaries, but it is very important.
There was so many teachable moments in that, like
Mm,
moments that I saw you really shine when,
mm,
first of all, you were operating unlimited provisions. So to
mm.
just see you whipping up, I think Sandy was impressed that the
I
fact,
think
I
she
think
was, yeah,
your little blunder later on did not matter because of the, I think a
exactly,
lot of emphasis was placed on the fact that you were still able to have the guests have such a great experience without even knowing the back end that you were literally trying to take out blood from stone to make magic for
exactly.
them with the food that you had. And then, I remember when she said, "You do not wake up the chef." She put her in her place. She's like,
I
I was
was
like, I
shocked.
saw your face, and because you looked shocked. You were like,
I was gagged. I was like, "You said what? Okay, okay.
yeah.
You got my back, Sandy. Thank you."
Yeah. And
Yeah.
even when you thought, because there were moments when you thought for sure that that was your last day. I remember, God, I can't remember her name, but she's the one in charge, not Ellie, the other one.
Asia, Asia.
Asia was like, it's kind of that's a little bit boring, like make something more exciting. And
Yeah.
you had little, what was some of the challenge? Tell us about those challenges.
Everything was a challenge.
Oh my
Everything. This
God.
job was the most challenging job I've had. I'll just put it out there that this was
Wow.
the hardest job I've had. And what you saw is maybe an a tenth of everything, right? And the producers have a very tough job. It's 6 weeks we were filming, right? 6 weeks, every like there was not a moment we were our mics were on all all the time. We had cameras in our rooms. If I woke up at 4 a.m. to like walk out on the deck, there were camera crew sleeping on the boat who would then see me on the mounted cameras and probably wake up and start following to see what I was doing. So there was no part of that where you weren't, so vulnerable that you everything you did was being recorded. So
You
that's
couldn't even
tough.
film her?
I couldn't poom. They even get my poom on camera. Oh my God. Like nothing. So that's a challenge, right? Another challenge was provisions. I think that was tough. I like going and seeing like how how
You
much
like to
fun
pick
is
your
it to go
food.
to the market? Yes, like
Yes.
I'm inspired by grow like the food. And I think a lot of chefs feel
By
that way.
groceries, by groceries
Yes, by
and
groceries.
supermarkets. Yes.
And working in yachting, I'm used to, using a provision and have someone deliver stuff, but in that scenario, it was so short notice. It was like my provisions coming the day the guests arriving, and that kind of timeline is like that's messed up. Like you usually get at least a day in advance so you can prep. So all of these kind of little things kind of made it even more challenging. The boat was a 55-meter, which in the world of yachting, there's meant to be two chefs on the boat, and they didn't really discuss that on the show. I guess it wasn't really part of something to be highlighted, but
Mhm.
that boat was meant to have a sous chef who would have assisted me in probably making crew food. And that's something you didn't really I didn't see on the show. I was making food for not only the 8 guests, but for the 12 crew,
Wow.
lunch and dinner. Um, so there
Wow.
was really no part of the day when I wasn't working. And then I was by myself, right? The only department on the boat where I'm the only
That's
person
so
by myself.
expensive.
The biggest challenge was that I wasn't allowed to play music. And I'm like, how am I supposed to live out my twerking chef dreams without music?
Did you
But
so
it
not
was
even
like a
in your
lot of
ear?
mm, obviously there's like copyright issues with playing music over a show, like which I understood. And then they were like, okay, you can wear one AirPod. And I was like, oh, that's great. Okay, so I can still cook, feel my vibes. And then I think for safety reasons, Sandy was like, okay, we're not allowed to wear AirPods. And that was devastating. But I guess I kind of understood if there was an alarm or some emergency, like you have limited hearing, maybe you wouldn't hear. Um,
Wow.
I don't know. So that was
Wow.
probably the toughest part because I really rely on music and dancing to kind of pull me through the day. And
Most of
I
us do.
mean,
I think
all of
most,
us, right? I
yeah.
was gonna say,
We,
like,
we
all
like
of us love a bacchanal.
whatever
We
it
live
is,
in
we put on our little
carnival.
music and we dance. I mean, when I dye my hair, I dancing. I'm like dancing and
Yeah,
dyeing my hair
exactly.
and everything we
Exactly.
do, we want to include music in it. So that
Yeah.
is strange. I did not know that because we saw you pop dropping and locking
Well, I
on
was
there.
singing probably the times you saw me, I was there to myself, singing in
Wow.
my head, trying to get a little something.
Wow.
Yeah.
You definitely shared you shared a lot, about your journey, like for well, on Bravo. I mean, we've seen you appear so many different places, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's so inspiring to see that you're a little boy from Goodwill, to
Yes.
make it done. I remember when we decided that because people don't even know we wanted to do this like months ago. Listen,
This is also a long time coming. Literally,
months
from the
ago.
first episode, I was like,
Wait,
anyways, bro,
hello, and
let's
and
talk.
and you were like I'm emailing Bravo, and we're gonna get the permission, and it was like there was
Yeah.
the back and forth thing because obviously
Yeah.
they have to protect their brand, and all of that
Yeah,
is understandable, and as well
for
as they
sure.
have to protect their cast and what you can say and what you cannot say, and when things are
Exactly.
running and stuff. So I was just so happy that because you okay, so I've had lots of guests on my show, but you were one of those that you were like, I'm coming on your show, and by the hook or by the
It
zook.
meant so much to me because I mean I've interviewed with like Andy Cohen and all these people and that's cool, but for me, I feel most rewarded having gone through this experience when a Dominican will come up to me and say, I'm so proud of you. A stranger, not even someone from my family. But
Mm-hmm.
that literally brings tears to my eyes. Like I'll be in Roseau and someone will be like, oh, you're the chef. And they'll want to take a picture with me. Or another
Mm-hmm.
chef in Dominica will be like, man, we watched you every Monday. And I'm like,
Every week.
it really does just blow my mind that, someone can see some inspiration in me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
who would have thought? So it is important it has been important for me to chat with you and to be on your show, because I know that our audience is international and regional, but very special and specifically Dominica.
Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And I thank you so very much for that. Jono, during that time, how did you stay balanced? Because you speak about, cameras being everywhere and just obviously not having music. And how did you, because I know there were moments, you would see you in your room, and
Mhm.
you'd have the lights, obviously the lights would be off, but they peek in, and
Yeah,
and
of
you
course.
and I obviously I'm trying to as a okay, so I could wear two hats where I'm a
Mm,
viewer, but I could also wear the hat being someone who's worked behind the scenes and seen how these things play out. And I'm
mm,
thinking, okay, I kind of know what's going on, but at the same time, because you're waiting to see people make out, you're waiting to see
yeah,
who's going to
drama.
right, you're waiting for the drama, you're waiting
Yeah.
for stuff. Obviously you butt heads with people. you butt What was that? I know you have favorites and I know you have not so favorites, and
Hmm.
I will let you get into as much as you want to get into. I'm not going to single out anything. But what was the experience like, being with all of these different personalities and
Mm.
having to like stay balanced, like stay
Yeah.
stay level head? What was that like?
It was hard. It was really hard. You know, um, there wasn't a moment where I didn't doubt myself. And,
Wow.
I feel like I'm a very confident person and I have this kind of attitude where I feel like I can do anything I put my mind to. But I feel like there were really moments where it felt like, okay, how do I move past this time? And having, been a chef for 7 years, 8 years before that, I felt like I had, gone through the grunt of being an amateur or, making mistakes.
Hmm.
And to have been on the show and have had made mistakes,
Hmm.
it was kind of eye-opening. I was like, wow, okay, let me reevaluate. And it just teaches you that you can always learn. And I think that's something that's really important, no matter how old you are, no matter where you are in your career, you should always be open to learning something. And I kind of felt going into the show that maybe I didn't have too much more to learn. And having done it in retrospect, I feel like I actually learned so much on the show, which I didn't expect, and that I can still continue learning. And I think that was very eye-opening. I think I found my peace by connecting with, my mom. She's kind of, the rock. And she'd always say, Jono, don't worry. You got this, do your best, say a prayer, do your thing. And I think that was really, really helpful to kind of as a reminder to keep on pushing and keep on going. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, that is just wonderful. That is amazing to hear. One of the things that those of us who looked at the show, and if you have not, guys, you should check it out. But
Hmm.
you would try your best to include parts of the Caribbean in which, because let me tell you, you were cooking for some high profile people with some high
Hmm.
expectations. I remember the,
Yeah.
the tennis one, and
Hmm.
like some high expectations, and you were able to somewhat come up. You were able to land on top. What
Yeah.
was it like, incorporating, or what was your thought process at least in terms of incorporating your own back home stuff, your homegrown? Because I remember when you tried to make something, I believe it was you didn't have, was it crab? You didn't have something and you used something else. I can't remember
We
what it
had
was.
lobster. The lobster didn't arrive. I used crab instead. I'm
Right.
like, you know what? We are eating so much crab in Dominica. If I cannot make a crab, hélas.
You nearly make a crab back for them, Nelly.
Exactly. It was a deconstructed crab act.
And the
Something.
name for it, I was like, Jono, just says a crab back you making it.
Yeah. Oof, I could eat a crab act now. It's crab season, no?
I think it's almost closing. It's getting ready to
Oh,
close.
really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
Tell us what
But
was that like, managing those high expectations and still
for
infusing your
me,
culture into
for
it.
me, it's exciting. Like a constraint like that, where you're nervous and like in your stomach, you're like, this excites me. And I think it maybe goes back to my training as an architect, where I'm used to kind of being under pressure to deliver something to a client and convince them that this is the best option for your building or for your design or for whatever it is I'm selling, right?
Mhm.
And so having been through that kind of background, I think stepping into high pressure environments were exciting for me. I love it. I think it inspires me to create things that I probably wouldn't normally create if I was on holiday, right? I'm super relaxed. Um, and so I think having a little flair, the Caribbean food flair is just there. Like, don't tell me your recipe says it's 1 clove of garlic. You know I put in the whole thing. Like, don't mess around, right? Like, I don't care if there's no time in the recipe. We use a lot of time. And so I'm gonna put it in. And I think not all the time, but when it's appropriate and I think that it can work. I'm inspired by these ingredients that we use so much. Not only ingredients, but sometimes cooking methods. I think we do lots of stews, no, or like stew chicken, stew beef,
Mhm.
anything to kind of. That's just a method to make
That's
meat
our
very
happy
tender
meal.
and
That's
juicy.
our happy meal.
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
And why not do that with an ossobuco instead of an oxtail and have it kind of super elevated, right? And then suddenly you're making something that looks very Michelin, but actually it's very wholesome and it will trigger not only, memories of elevated dining, but memories of home and memories of comfort.
Mhm.
And I think that's where I think it's interesting, right? For me as a background where food is kind of a gift of love and food came from home, to be in an environment where you have super high-end VIP billionaire clients, but they also want to feel at home too, right? They want
Mhm.
to feel that love through the food, and I
Mhm.
think that magic balance is it's really important to me at least,
I,
and the style of cooking that I like.
did you put down some? Did you put down? Because I mean, when the cameras were not always rolling, when I say rolling in terms of what we saw, did you put down some hardcore, a dashing and a fig and a
If I could have found dashing in Greece, woo, I would have cooked it. I think I did find plantain.
Mhm.
What else I found? Nah, they had some people ask for Caribbean food actually, and I think I made them a kind of like a pilau. Um, yeah, I found some stuff. I can't remember everything. Sometimes I don't remember what I made for lunch when it's dinner time, but I definitely remember intentionally looking for some, provision and local stuff. But yeah, I worked with what I could find.
This season has ended. The season of
Yeah.
has ended. What are the plans? Are you gonna go back? What are you what's up? What's going on? What's going on?
I am working on a yacht now,
Mhm.
and it's a beautiful yacht, much bigger, more crew. I have a sous chef in my galley, so that's what I'm doing immediately. In the future, I'm planning big things. My dream really is to bring elevated culinary experiences to Dominica, and I think I share that dream with my brother, who's also a chef, and yeah, we're in talks to make some really amazing things happen. I think that Dominica can be a place like India or Thailand where people travel there for the food, for a culinary experience.
You
And I
should have
don't see
you should have been
why.
there for Watto.
I missed it. I wish I was there. But next year, I'll be there.
Mhm.
I'll be there next year.
Mhm. You have
Um,
to be there next year.
I
Yeah.
definitely will be. And yeah, so I think that's my kind of that's what I'm working on. There's a lot of stuff on the burner right now,
Mhm.
as well as architecture stuff. But these are the things that are exciting in the immediate future. As far as being back on reality TV, I don't know. I can't say yes or no. I would definitely be open to it. I feel like the season that I did felt like a rehearsal. I'm probably now even more ready than I was to give not only the sauce and the juice and the yummy food, but a little bit more Caribbean attitude and culture.
Yes, and you definitely represented, eh? You represented. I
Yeah.
think everybody knew, everybody who was watching Below Deck knew from they. Some people, one person said, "Oh, he's from Antigua." I'm like, "He's from both of them."
Yes.
He's
Yeah. Yes.
Dominican
I
born,
remember that.
but they remember, a
Grew
lot
up
of
in
people remember the
Antigua. Yeah.
Antigua part of it, and
Hmm.
I'm like, you know what? He's from both islands, and both
Yeah.
embrace him, and let's both embrace him because there's so many Dominicans in Antigua. Listen, there's so many
Exactly.
Dominicans in Antigua. I was saying to
It's our
somebody,
second home.
it is literally, and Antiguans really embrace Dominicans, eh?
They
And
do. They really
not just
always have.
just
Yeah.
Spain. There's a lot of them there. They really do embrace Dominicans for their work ethic, their food again. Antiguans really
Mm-hmm.
love a Dominican to put it on. Big up to Ketchers, or who's on the live, who is representing, who's from Antigua or who lives in
Oh,
Antigua,
hi.
and she's on the live as well. Um,
Nice.
so you've done this amazing show. You've done all of this. What advice
Yeah.
would you give someone who's essentially trying to navigate an unexpected career pivot like you did?
Yeah.
What sort of advice would you give to someone out there who's like, like, people look at us, and I say us because I include myself, because I'm always like, "Oh, I think I'm going to do this. I've done enough of this,
Yes.
and I feel like I've mastered this, and I'm going to go do
We
this."
dabble. We dabble.
Right?
We dabble.
Oh Lord Jesus! Sometimes I feel like people. Well, I've been. They've equated it. They've said, "Oh, you're a rolling stone that gathers no moss," and I'm like, if you want to call me that, then that is
Sure.
that is whatever. But at the end of the day, like, you've been able to experience so many different things
Mm.
from the architecture world as well as the culinary world,
Yeah.
which intersects with traveling and getting to see the world. Right now you're in Italy,
Yes.
you're in Greece filming,
Yeah.
living that living that European bougie life.
Mm-hmm.
What advice would you give to someone who is like, probably, not sure where they are, if that's where they need to be, and that's where they want to
I would
really.
say if I'm giving advice to someone who's wanting to change their path and they're maybe a little scared, apprehensive, I would say go for it. I mean, the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out and you would have learned something from the experience. I think probably in most cases it will work out. I think if you're motivated enough, you're gonna make it work. I think, don't be scared, go for it, and work hard. It's not gonna be easy. I think a lot of people try to make a change and they think, oh, okay, I'll just do this, and it's never easy, right? It's you have to put in the extra work,
Mhm.
and you have to be really, really wholeheartedly in it. And once you're there, I'm sure it will succeed. You will succeed. You'll find some kind of, success in that new path, especially if it's a passion.
Great advice.
Yeah.
What keeps you grounded during all of these major shifts?
My family keeps me grounded for sure. I think we're a very close-knit family. And there's a lot of love. I think a lot of our family relationships is based on genuine love. And I think, I grew up where we told each other we loved each other often, and we hugged and shared times together as a family. I think that helps me stay grounded for sure, my family.
Mm.
Mhm.
Finally, I mean, before I go to the finally, let me just check out the live, because people have
Yes,
been
check it out.
commenting. I want to check out the live. Somebody said this book would be a bestseller. FYI.
Ooh.
Somebody says, oh, I'm bawling when you said he couldn't even poem, when we were talking about, so
Oh
E
my
Alice
God.
is saying amazing. E Alice Sever Dupini is saying amazing. I'm so very proud of you.
Oh,
Miss
thank
Kelly
you,
saying
Auntie
I can
Alice.
such a gem. Miranda is saying you're so handsome and so proud of you.
Ooh,
They're
thank you.
checking you out. Um,
I'm
Lola
blushing.
is saying that's why I love you, Jono. That balance. Um, uh, Geez, the messages are coming in quickly. Like everybody now dropping their
Nice.
messages. Love, love,
Good.
love your thought slash plans for Dominica. By the way, I just did check out you're now doing your little Airbnb. Not trying to do it because it's in
Yes.
grand style Airbnb,
Yes.
fancy Airbnb that you
Come
just recently
stay.
launched in Dominica. So you're
Yes.
so check him out for that.
Mhm.
If you're thinking of coming to Dominica, he's mixed his love for architecture into his new his little new
My Airbnb business.
yes, your
Yeah.
Airbnb business, and that's awesome.
Thank
Um, who else? Luvi saying sending you love. My
you.
final question for you
Mhm.
before we wrap up, and I leave you to say your final words. Um,
Mhm.
Fans, you've obviously developed fans on social
Yeah.
media. People have followed you for your adventures, whether you're cooking and you're sharing food or nightlife, or even your get ready with me videos when you're sharing, you're showing us how you put your outfits together.
Yeah.
What do you hope that your fans can take away from your journey and your story?
Wow, that's a good one. I would say I think my fans would agree that I remain professional and kind throughout every challenge. I think that it's easy to kind of have an outburst and scream at someone who makes you upset. And sometimes that's good to let out anger. But at the end of the day, I think it's important when you're in a working environment, especially to remain professional and to remain kind. And I think most people find that that's truer to themselves than the angry person who might be screaming or losing their cool. Um, so yeah, I think that's something that I kind of really showed throughout the show. I kept my cool, and I was never, too disrespectful to anyone, even
Yeah,
though
like you
probably they
said,
deserved it. Yeah.
Jono, it was so wonderful talking to you
You
and getting to
too.
know a little bit about you, and your journey, and opening up for my followers, those who came on all the platforms that they logged in from, and to get to know them. And of course, those will come back because people are gonna come back here and they're gonna see stories, or see
Yeah.
or revisit your episode. um, what would be your final words? What would you like? I like to give my guests, you know, a moment for them to. I don't want to keep you any longer. Let me tell you, we could stay here forever, eh? But
I
I know you're on a
know the
different
time is
time zone, and I'm
flying.
trying to be very, very aware of that, and also know that you're still in work mode. So I'm trying to be very
Yeah.
respectful of that and your time. But what would you like to say to, if we missed anything, or if there's something that you wanted to touch on that we didn't get to talk about, but you feel like it's important to let folks know? The floor is yours.
I think something that I definitely learned recently is don't be scared to be vulnerable. Don't be scared to kind of let someone see you fall, because the lesson learned is how you get back up. And I think that's really important. I think I always kind of was the type of person who was like, oh, never let them see you sweat, or um, don't want anybody to see any kind of struggle or anything. And I think when you share your vulnerabilities, I think that opens you up to people, and people relate to that so much more. I
Mhm,
think that you also learn from yourself the way you let yourself break down and get back up.
mhm.
And I think that's something that is a tough thing to learn, and I feel so grateful that I've learned it. And yeah, the joy is always in the clap back, honey.
The joys in the clap back.
Yes.
You have been wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing your journey with us. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for sharing your story with us, and giving us a little bit of insight into who Chef Jono is.
Yay.
We appreciated your time. People are saying thank you for your fantastic journey, Jono. It was
Oh,
wonderful
so
meeting you in
sweet.
Dominica this year. Someone who met you in Dominica this year.
Amazing.
People are tagging Below Deck Mediterranean. Everybody was tagging people who don't know. They're like, "Who is this
Yeah.
person? Who is this person?" So yes,
Nice.
he was on Below Deck Mediterranean, and he was probably he was the liveliest cast member.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
one you wanted to be watching for. Hey.
Exactly. Your favorite.
Yeah, but it was my favorite. I don't know about the others. It was my favorite, definitely. Folks at Chris study saying love you, much love. Crystal, that's Akina is saying much love, wishing you all the best and success. Um, they're asking where is your Airbnb in Dominica? Somebody's asking. You
It's
want to
in
let them know?
Santa Roma in Goodwill.
Yes. So check out, follow Jonathan Schillenford everywhere. You can
Mm-hmm.
find him.
Yeah.
And you can he just recently posted videos of your Airbnb, so people can check that out as well. And if they want to book,
Absolutely. Yeah.
hopefully you're not booked up until 2026. because because the way that place is nice, I'm like, you're gonna be booked up till
Mm-hmm.
2026. But it was lovely having you on the show. I want to wish you all the best. Of course, we always
Thank you
be in
so
touch.
much.
And when you come
Yes.
home, we have to drink a
We
tequila.
lime in.
We lime
We
in.
lime in.
That's right. That's
Thank
right.
you for having me.
You're most welcome. Mwah, mwah. Kisses to you. Love, love, love always.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Love back. Ciao.
All right, let me get my. That's it, guys. That's it. That is it for tonight. I am so grateful to Jono for taking time out of his schedule to come here and share with us and talk to us about his story. Oh my God, such a gem beyond compare, right? From Dominica, right? And it was nice having him on the show. I hope you guys enjoyed every single moment of the show, and I hope you guys shared the link with every single person on your timeline so people could get to know a little bit of Jono as well. Thank you very much to my sponsors. I truly appreciate you guys, and thank you for taking the time out and really investing in what I'm doing out here. And those of you who come on and you show love every single week, I truly appreciate you guys. You have no idea. People like Shara, Shara is always, let me tell you, Shara is always there. And not just there, there are people who come on and they'll tell me, Jael, I'm there, but I'm quiet. Sometimes I just get a little bit of energy, just knowing that, people are there, they got my back, and they're here for the interview, or they're here to support me, or they're here just to watch the guests and get to know about the guests. And people like Shara, my sisters, and people like Rosalind Sevre, who always show up, always come. Big up to you guys. I truly appreciate it. I don't like to single out people, but I feel like the need to single these people out, because these people are always on and they always show so much love. And I truly appreciate them for that. And all those of you who come on, those of you who are my top of tops, and those of you who are coming up to be in the top of tops, I love you guys, and thank you very much for logging on every single week. Tomorrow, there's no show tomorrow evening, but I will be doing a review. So tune in tomorrow. At some point, we'll be doing a review. So make sure you follow if you're not following yet. You subscribe, because some of you are watching incognito. Y'all need to just follow. Hit that follow button. All right, follow, like, subscribe wherever you need to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, and you'll get the updates. Turn on your notifications so you get the updates when we go live. I will have another interesting guest for you on Wednesday, so stay tuned for that. Love. Thank you very much again to all those of you who tune in. I'll leave you guys tonight with a word from our most valuable sponsors. Without them, this would not be possible. Stay true to yourself always, guys. Good night.
Last game in presence, it's biggest job whatever. Blast mystery progressive. I'm so excited. I can't hide it. In your blast up and rising. And I like it. It going up and up and up and up and up. Blast up and up and up and up and up and up.
Play selected games to win in the Blast Mystery Progressive. Pick until you match 3 gems and win one of the 5 cash jackpots. Or you can blast up with the mystery progressive jackpot.
It going up, and up, and up, and up, and up, blast up, and up, and up. Blast gaming. You don't want to be no slave. You need a loan you want to save. Welcome and visitors today. Hey, with a commitment to quality. What? Therefore you and me was one big family, but now it's a community. True. Making life easy. Yes. Like ABC. Don't matter who you are, you can benefit. When you bring your mortgage
With rates as low as 5% and loans for all your needs.
open an MRA,
Save for your golden years and take advantage of our savings products.
we will finance your business.
Checking accounts, small business loans, wire transfers, and so much more.
NCCU all the way. Wow!
Your community financial partner.
NCCU.
Caribe Hard Cider. Moments made extraordinary.
My name is Marlies Rock, founder of Home Base Limited. Better known these days as the Thai Lady in Dominica. We are tile importers from various countries such as Italy, Brazil, Mexico, and China. We've been in the market for the past 18 years, and we've grown to be the #1 tile company in Dominica. I'd love to get it across that it's not just buying a tile because that's the amount of money you have left from the building. Tiles are the things used most in the house, and it's an investment you're putting your money into that should last you hopefully no less than 20 years. Our staff are well trained. The length of time they've been working in home is some as much as 15 years. They have acquired knowledge which the ordinary person would not give an eye to, as to the texture of the tile, the warmth of the tile, the size of the tile, and the areas it's most suited for. Our main store is at 94 Independence Street, Roseau, and our warehouse is at Kinfley Industrial Site.